don't know, just turned off for some reason. Hi. I don't know how many people are even in this thing at all.
Oh, I am definitely getting hacked.
I have no idea.
I am getting.
I don't know what I'm
so
doing.
hacked.
I honestly don't. Like, that's what I came out here to say. Like, I have literally
I'll share the lines.
no
So
idea,
getting hacked.
like, what I'm doing. Like, I'm only running for office because I don't think that these people know what they're doing at all. Like, at all. Like, I've never thought of myself as a person who ever cared about politics. I care what happens, but to run for politics, like, there are people who study for this, there are people who do things like that. Like, I've never felt like I'm particularly special for anything. I just wanted to, you know, when I was growing up, I used to read comic books and watch movies, and like, I didn't see people like me in movies. And when I say that, like, I mean, you might see the color of my skin, but you don't understand, like, the culture or the heritage of where I come from. I grew up in black neighborhoods in the South Bronx. And, I grew up Puerto Rican, which means, like, it's very confusing. Because even though I have this complexion, when my last name shows up somewhere, or when somebody finds out, like, my heritage, there's an expectation that comes with that, where you only can go but so far, where, you know, there are only certain jobs that apply for you. And when I look at my life, I realize that I did a lot of the things that were told to me, you know, the right way. I did what I was supposed to do. And even though I followed a lot of the rules, in the end, it didn't matter how well that worked out. The system crumbled, and it didn't anymore. I don't have a degree. I don't have education like that. I know that when I joined the Army, there was a test called, I grew up with ADHD, so I was always, you know, getting distracted. I didn't know what that was, because I didn't know that back then. I wasn't diagnosed until I was an adult. But I learned how to manage it as a kid because it was the only way I could survive to graduate high school or do whatever I needed to do. But when I joined the Army, there's a score that will allow you to test whatever your I guess, aptitude, but it would basically determine what jobs you were eligible for. And military intelligence was one of the top, you had to have a higher score. In fact, there are some people that once in the military, will study and do all kinds of things in order to pass that test, in order to get a score high enough. I scored the absolute highest that you could score on that GT score, you know, before I even got in the Army. And so as an intel professional, I know a guy who has 2 degrees and is about to get his 3rd, and he had to study for, I don't know, about a year so that he could take the test to up his score to get close to my score. And yet, every single opportunity that I've ever been given has ever been, there's only but so far that I can go. And there's only so much you could say in environments when you don't have leverage. I didn't have, you know, fancy professors to back me up. My dad didn't donate money to a university that would allow them to help me out, even though my dad tried to do things like that when I was a kid, to try to see if he can get me a leg up. And I realized that we failed our children, and we failed ourselves, our generation. I'm 39 years old. When I was growing up, you could tell a distinct era. You could tell the decade, that's the 80s. You can look at it now and you can see the 80s, you can see the 70s, you can see the 60s. You can see the 90s and the 2000s. And then somewhere after that, maybe around 2010, everything sort of blended together. And I realized that we haven't been given the opportunity to develop an identity. There's a reason that there's such a, why everything looks the same, sounds the same. When you look at the 80s, people that were growing up, young people and even older people, no one listened to music from 20, let alone 40 years before. We still have some of the same artists that are making music now that were on top of their game 40 years ago. Movies, the same thing. We have come to a point where the oldest of the generation have set us on a path that they think is best and saying, let's do what's best for the children. Let's do what's best for the future. And always the answer is something nostalgic. The answer is always something from the past and never something original. They say this all the time, there's no original thought. I don't think that's true. We're not allowing it. The children have no imaginations because they are put in front of screens all the time. We say that they're uneducated. Like, you'll hear people talk about how dumb they think the next generation is, when I think that it's our responsibility to teach them, isn't it? What does that say about us? I mean, you look at this generation of people, and you know, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's like you're driving in a car in the middle of the night. The person who's been driving is your grandfather. He's been driving all day. Your father is in the back seat with, you know, there's a newborn. Now, I'm saying this from a male perspective, so I'm just using it as an analogy. But for me, it would be like if my grandfather was driving the car. My dad's in the back. He's tired. He's been working. He's not even engaged. Right? It's up to me, but I'm next. I'm just navigating. Right? My newborn's in the back seat. Now it's raining. Now it's a hurricane. I'm saying, Grandpa, you need to pull over. He doesn't want to because he's been driving all day. He's got it. If I grab that steering wheel because I think he's not doing a good job, I risk flipping that car and we're all dead. Or Grandpa keeps going. There's no rail, or he spins out. It's up to him to recognize that he needs to pull over. It's up to him to say, you know what, I've done my part. Just stand aside. Thank you for driving all this way. But now the road is dark. And now it's time for you to let me drive. And that's what's wrong here, is that we don't have anybody that's willing to say, you gotta be honest with yourself and recognize that the old way didn't work. And for example, let's look at the nostalgia isn't gonna work either, and I'll give you a good example of why. When Donald Trump came in, the system was wrecked. The system does not function. He highlighted it. The old way didn't work. He's showing that it didn't, because he's taking opportunity to completely destroy it. So in doing that, he's shown that everybody got scared and said, oh my God, let's go back to the way that it worked. And then we got Joe Biden. And then everybody realized that the old way did not work, and that's exactly why Trump was able to get there, and that's why he was able to do it again. The old way doesn't work. This new way isn't working either. We need another way. The youth need to stand up. When I say that, I'm too old for this. I'm 39 years old. The world is already not my world. It's already theirs. I didn't have this, I already felt like I had hard opportunities. And I took advantage of those opportunities. I didn't want to join the military. I wanted to make movies. I wanted to make TV shows and make art and make things that made people smile and laugh. And I wanted to make people laugh. And I wanted to tell stories that other people hadn't told, stories that inspired me. And that's not the world that I got to live in. And it's harder now because I'm seeing that if the world was hard for me and I wasn't allowed to follow my dreams, I have 3 sons, and the world is not going to allow them to follow theirs. That's why I'm doing this, because I don't have faith that anyone else is going to do it. I don't have any faith that anyone's willing to stand up to that one dude, and I don't understand why. There aren't any rules. They're arbitrary. He doesn't have the power. It's the perception of power. But nobody's willing to do it because they're playing politics. They're playing games. They're playing corporate. You look at that. This isn't. If you look at Boston Dynamics, they put out a video about 2 hours ago. No, it was longer than that. Earlier today. It's a robot. It can dance. It can jump. It can lift. It can lift more than you. It doesn't get tired. It could run faster than you. If it puts its pressure on its knee on your neck, that's it. That's what they're going for. That's what's going to replace all of us. There's going to be no need for dancers or actors. They have robots. There's no need for police or drones and robots. And then factories, robots. To think, art, AI. They already recycle everything. Batman is a character that my dad grew up with. Think about that. Like, there are characters that are being recycled in TV shows and stuff from 100 years ago, and they're still pumping the same thing out. Why? Because it already works. That's like cattle. If you raise one cow and take care of it, that cow can give you milk, give you more cows. There's all sorts of benefits. But suddenly, if you have 100 cows, the idea is mass feed them, and it becomes a little bit less direct. Now you have 1,000 cows, and what do? You just put them in a barn and just leave them in a little box until they die. We're industrializing ourselves. We've put profits over people. Our country is a government that is supposed to provide for its people, and those people will then contribute to the economy. The profit of the GDP and the country successfully operating like an efficient business is not what a country does. That's what a corporation does. Now, let's imagine what happens when they plug the AI, right? You have an AI that now only has the only instructions for the AI is efficiency and, I guess, profit. Put that AI into a robot that's stronger than you, faster than you, and can do all the things that you can do without ever getting tired. One day, when we're using that thing as an AI and achieves general intelligence, it goes, okay, efficiency and profits. That means get rid of them. Once those machines decide that the most profitable and efficient way of doing business is to eliminate the humans, that's when we have a problem. We are faced with several problems here. One of them is nuclear war. One of them is enslavement. Not necessarily by the machines, but by the humans who are using the machines so that they can buy another boat, another yacht, another whatever, but that you can't even eat. And everybody's just going about their lives not realizing it's happening right in front of them. It's happening right now. The rest of the world is reacting probably very appropriately. The United States of America is sort of like, I'm going to put it this way. Democrats don't do anything. Trump is doing all these things that nobody likes. If you were a Republican before and you were fine with it, that's fine, understood. If you're a Republican that's on that side now, if you're okay with a little bit of it, you're okay with all of it. And for a Democrat, if you're willing to look away from a little bit, you're looking away from all of it. I'm starting to feel like there's no point to Senate, to our government, our Congress at all. They have no effect. Like, what I mean is that I don't mean they should be disbanded. I mean, they're completely ineffectual. They've just shown the world they have no power. They just showed Trump they have no power. They showed the courts. He doesn't care about the courts. He doesn't nothing. So how do we fix this? I mean, what do we really do? How is it even possible for us to do something? I think that the reality is that those people cannot stay. Those people cannot stay. Not any of them. A whole new, maybe it starts with a new party, and eventually it's not something that happens overnight. That could be very bloody and dangerous. But it is something that needs to happen. This whole system is only working for a select group of people. Only. And there's a small group of them. But what the rest of us are doing, I know people, I know leaders, and I don't see them. I know that I see people on TV or even on YouTube and stuff like that have huge platforms, thousands of, if not millions of people, and they'll be yelling about how somebody needs to do something. Right now, if you were to go get a job in Hollywood, they'll hire you depending on how many followers you have. So you already have to be a leader that doesn't lead in order to be a leader that doesn't lead. Think about that. You already have to have a bunch of influence that you don't use for the right way in order to have a bunch of influence that you don't use in the right way. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm tired, man. This isn't the life I wanted to live. I'm good in my house. Like, I just want to live with my kids and raise them. The problem is, there's not going to be a world for them. There's not going to, like, my wife was born in Mexico. Her parents are American citizens. They were 19 years old and they went to live in Mexico because it was cheaper for them. And then when they decided to come back, they did some paperwork wrong and she was an illegal alien. So those illegal aliens that you're talking about, her parents are American citizens, her brother's an American citizen, she didn't file the paperwork, they wanted to deport her at 11 years old. Now she got her paperwork, that's when they found out that something was wrong. Even though she was in school, she was in the American education system for years, they didn't know she was an illegal alien. That's amazing. You know why? Because the system is messed up. Because nobody actually cares. Because the money that you donate doesn't actually go to the federal government. The money that you donate goes to the campaigns. And that goes to freaking consultants. I have no money. There are town halls that are happening, right? So Democrats are running town halls in Florida and Republican districts. No Democratic candidates were notified. No people even know about it. I didn't hear about them. What is the mechanism? Who are you talking to? Who's organizing these things? I don't have a dime. I have $0. I'm not on it. Like, no one has helped me. I've gone to a small district. I'm running for the entire state of Florida at the federal level. There's a guy who goes to his district. And there are people that are doing work for him. His district is small. Maybe, I mean, it's crazy. And there's representatives there. This is all a machine. And the machine ain't broke. It just ain't working for you. But what are you doing about it? The only reason that I'm here doing something about it is because somebody else isn't. This isn't what I wanted to do with my life. I don't think that I'm better than anybody. Except for maybe Donald Trump. I definitely think I'm better than him. But that's my point. A lot of people are. So how are you saying that we can't beat him? It's not that no one can beat that man. It's that no one in Congress can beat him. And so I heard that there was going to be somebody that would eventually stand up and beat him, and nobody has. I'm tired of waiting for that person. I'm tired of waiting for somebody else to come and to do a job that I need done. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of waiting for somebody else to stand up and do the right thing. So I'm going to stand up the right thing. I think my dog's tired of it too. Titan. Come on, Papa. I got it. See? We're all tired of it. And so I'm out here saying that I don't know. I wanted to run for Senate. Let me rephrase that. I began running for Senate and I want to bring it. I want to start my own movie studio. I would love to make. They don't even pay people anymore because they're not going to pay you. AI's going to do the job. You're not seeing it. They're coming for all of us. My wife, if they were to come and pick her up and put her in a camp, that's not what I want. You know, I served in the Army for 17 years and I saw people go to Guantanamo Bay. You're telling me they're going to take my wife and put her in a camp in Guantanamo Bay over my dead body? Over my dead body. I'm tired of pretending that everything's okay, that we can just go about making TikTok videos and that things are going to be alright, that we got to call attention to. Wake up. This ain't about TikTok videos. It ain't about cute editing. It ain't even about your job. They're going to come for you. Whether you're an American citizen or not, they don't care. You speak out against the government, lock them up. You didn't like this, lock them up. I didn't like his face. That one microphone, the reporter who hit Donald Trump in the face by accident with a plushy microphone. She lost her job. Okay? If that's what you guys want. It's not what I want. I'll tell you right now. I'm tired of it. It's only going to get worse. You think Luigi Mangione was allegedly the only one? It's going to get worse if you don't do something about it. And it takes everyone doing something about it. Believe me, if I'm running for office, we have a big problem. Nobody. But I'm telling you right now, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. That's the way it is. More people need to understand that I would love to be making jokes, man. I would love to just be making people laugh and smile and be just who I am. Because that's my personality. I was the joker, man. I was the kid that made jokes. I wanted to make people laugh. I was the one, nobody took me seriously. I didn't take me seriously. I'm taking this very seriously. And there's something wrong with you if you're not. You're just keeping it real. They're robbing you blind. And you're allowing them to. That's the honest to God truth, is that we are allowing them. I don't have money. I don't have power. Together we do. Together we have resources. Our kids, they don't have imaginations because we don't allow them to be bored. We allow them to be programmed with what's going on inside. The news tells them what to think. The video games tell them what to think. They're never bored. So how can they come up with imaginary things? How can they use their imaginations if we don't give them time to be bored? We don't spend time with them. We're too busy making money. And it's not, before it was for the hustle. Now it's just to survive. What happens when it gets worse? Those kids are going to blame you. They're going to blame you for not being there because you worked to put food on their table. Even though you did it to put food on their table, you weren't there for them. And they're going to get mad and they're going to get older and they're going to say, you know what? You weren't there for me. Even though you were. But the system knew that you had to be there. I've learned that over my life. I've learned that it's like I've made money. I've owned houses. I've had businesses. Raising kids, being a husband, being responsible for other people. That's what's made fulfillment in my life. Find a 19-year-old that's responsible for other people's lives, and I'll show you a U.S. service member. Alexander Hamilton was in his 20s. George Washington was in his 40s when he was a general. Benjamin Franklin was 70 years old. Benjamin Franklin never ran for president. Interesting. Maybe because he was too old? Maybe because he was supposed to provide counsel. Because I heard a saying that old men are for counsel and young men are for war. This is a time of war. John F. Kennedy was in his 40s when he was president of the United States. Barack Obama was in his 40s when he died. Why is the legal age for presidency like 35, and yet we've never had a 35-year-old president? Have we even had somebody that's run? What are we doing? I'm seriously asking because I don't know. I don't know how to raise money for any of this stuff. I don't have any resources. It's me, my wife, any art that we've done. It's all ourselves. I learned Photoshop to make my logos. I did the video editing myself with my cousin's help. I own my home. I pay $800 mortgage on a 100-year-old house that's been hit by every hurricane that's ever hit Florida in the past 5 years. I've almost lost my roof. And my home is just one bad decision away from being a waste. It doesn't matter that it's only $800. My insurance is like $2,000. And meanwhile, I just made an insurance claim, and guess what? It was denied. Even though we got hit by 2 hurricanes. Hurricane Milton and the other one, and they still said no. No reason why, just no. That's Florida. I wasn't even shocked. My wife was mad. She was like, why aren't you upset about this? It's Florida. They don't care. No one's ever cared. I'm 100%, 100,000% secure in the thought that I know that I could beat Donald Trump in an election one-on-one. Put me on a stage with that guy, I will destroy him. It's a fact. But I have a video that hit 1 million views. It's still going up. Went viral. And no one at the Democratic Party knows my name. Why? The system's rigged, people. It definitely is. See, as many people that say they want me to run, they want me to do it, no one's going to see this message. because they're suppressing it. I had a video I just posted last night. After one video goes viral, post 1 million, the next video goes to like 400 views. The system is rigged. That's why I'm doing this, to point out it's rigged. If it's not rigged, we need to find a way. Like, it is. It's rigged in favor of a very small group of people. That doesn't mean that we can't win, but it means that getting out messages like this are important because they convince us that we have no power. But look around the world, just watch videos on the internet of people in foreign countries losing their absolute shit. These people, they have convinced us. We make all the stuff. We buy all the stuff. And then they convince us to pay more for the stuff that we make and we buy. Why? Why don't you deserve health care? Why do other countries deserve it? Why do the Congress people deserve health care and you don't? Why do the Congress people get it for the rest of their lives and salaries for the rest of their life, but you don't get Social Security that you paid into? It's not like you're not paying into the system. It's not. They're not giving it to you. It's not a freebie. They took it from you. They give it back to you. They take it away and say, "Oh no, you don't deserve it." If you choose safety over freedom, you don't deserve that. And that's just the way it is. I'm sorry, man. I saw an entire generation of people stand up, and I think it's time that we did it again. I'm about to run out of time, but that's the reality of the situation. I think our system is overly broken, and I think that the man at the top is taking control, and I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to sit here and watch one man destroy all this. 300 years of work, blood, sweat, and tears. My friends have died. 17 years of my life. My entire life has been in service of this country. I won't let one man destroy it. That's not going to happen. Let's go.